Hi, welcome back to my channel, and if you're looking for effective network marketing recruiting tips, then make sure you watch this video to the end, as I'm going to share a really simple but effective strategy that you can use to start recruiting more people into your team with much more ease. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of every time I post or release a new video to help you grow your network marketing business online. So before I jump into the simple strategy, I want to first cover where most network marketers or direct sellers, people in this industry, where most of them go wrong, okay? And that is, they've spent all that time actually getting a prospect interested, and then they kind of come to a stumbling point and they do this. So when they're talking to a prospect about possibly joining their team, they will start to talk about all the wrong things. And what I mean by that is they'll start talking about the compensation plan, how it works, if it's binary, blah, blah, blah. They'll also start talking about how the company is open in like 16 different countries. I still get messages in my DMs, in my inbox every single day, people pitching me to join their opportunities, and I've never spoke to these people before, and they'll message me out of the blue, and the first line is always something along the lines of, come and join this ground floor opportunity. Okay, it still actually happens, but this is what people, inexperienced network marketers, do when they're talking to a prospect. And look, if you do this, please don't think that I'm pointing the finger or don't beat yourself up over this, because this is something that I used to do back in the day as well, before I really knew how to recruit with ease. And that was, I'd say, it's a ground floor opportunity. We've got a brand new product coming out. I'd also talk about like the ethos of the company, and that's another thing that a lot of people will do in this industry when they're talking to a potential prospect, is they'll talk about the integrity of the owners of the company. And like, this is all good, okay? Yeah, it's great that the business, you can go and operate in several different countries. So if someone has a desire for a laptop lifestyle and they want to move to the other side of the world and then pitch their friends that they make over there, then they can. It is important, the value in the ethos of the company and things like that. But this is what you need to understand, okay? When you're talking to a prospect and you're hoping they're going to join your team, they're actually going to build this thing with you, they are listening with the intent of, what's in it for me, okay? They are not listening and considering to join the business on the back of, I'm going to join this business because it's open in 16 countries. Maybe the odd person does, but most people that I recruited back in the day, and I certainly didn't join my business because it was open in 16 countries. People don't join for those reasons, okay? They are looking for what's in it for them. Yet most network marketers, this is the things that they focus on when they're trying to recruit people into their team. So what should you do instead? So here's my really simple yet unbelievably effective strategy that you should be using to recruit more people effortlessly into your team, okay? And that is to share your epiphany. To share your epiphany and get really good at sharing your epiphany. So if you're watching this thinking, Emma, what you're going on about, what I basically mean is to share your story. But to get even more specific, what part of your story, basically the epiphany that you had that made you decide, I am joining the business. So before I explain any further, I want you to do a little exercise now, and I want you to stop and think about, what was the reason why you decided to join the business that you're in now? What was the epiphany? What was the turning point? What was it that you heard when your upline or whoever was, maybe you were on a three-way call, but what was it that you heard that they said that had you make the decision? That's your epiphany, okay? So I will give you an example. One of the easiest examples is, I can tell you my own. When I originally joined this industry back in 2012, this was my epiphany, okay? So it's basically a version of my story. So I was a teacher. back then, it seems like a lifetime ago now, back in 2012, and I was working for like a community-based company. I had been there for several years, and I just got my equivalent of PGCE, which is like certificate in education, meaning I was a qualified teacher and I could also like command a higher wage. And basically I was getting really frustrated within that role because I was working so hard and I wasn't being recognised and rewarded for it, basically. And I got to the point where I was tired of having someone else who was basically in control of my future, my destiny, how much I was allowed to earn. I basically was tired of being an employee. So even though I enjoyed aspects of the job and I was really good at what I did, I was unsettled. I was kind of on the lookout for something different. And when my friend back then, this is 2012, and I actually got introduced to my first network marketing company from a Facebook group. And back then this was like frowned upon to even build your business online, but that's a video for another day. And I remember when I saw her posting about these like before and after pictures in this Facebook group that she'd invited me to, my interest was piqued because I could see a way out from what I was doing. And it kind of sparked that entrepreneurial side of me that had kind of lay dormant for quite some time that I always knew I was capable of doing. But one of the biggest things that when we eventually met and she spoke to me about the business and she taught me through the business and everything, my epiphany was this was a way for me to be able to be my own boss. This was a way for me to be able to take our family's financial future into my own hands, because I was getting extremely frustrated. That myself and my partner, we had 2 young children at the time. We had we had a one daughter at the time, but she was really young, and it was so frustrating, living like month to month, paycheck to paycheck, with not much else to go at the end. Now, how many other people do you think are in that situation? So many people, yeah? So my epiphany was, I could see this was like a plan B for me. This was a way for me to perhaps become my own boss. I wasn't exactly seeing myself quitting my job at the time, but I could see this was perhaps an opportunity for me to be my own boss, and for more importantly, for me to take our financial future into my own hands. So it was, instead of someone else being in charge of what I was going to earn, I could go out and create some of this for myself. Now that is an epiphany, okay? I could talk more about my story, and you really should get good at talking and sharing your story, because people join for that. This is the most easiest, simplest strategy you can apply to recruit more people effortlessly, because it's your story and no one can take that away from you. No one else will have your story. And the power of sharing your story, there's so many things that happens when you do that, but especially sharing the epiphany part, as in, what was it that you saw in the opportunity that made you jump? What was it that made you think, okay, I'm going for it and I'm going to do this? Because when you start getting really good at sharing that within your story, you will be able to recruit more effortlessly, because other people will recognize themselves in your story. Okay, so let's just go through some of the things that actually happen when you share your story and you get good at sharing your epiphany, the part of the story that made you jump. One of the first things that happens is you instantly become relatable, okay? So you go from being salesy and spammy, which is really how you probably sound if you're talking about the comp plan and all the other things that I mentioned before. You go from sounding salesy and spammy to you all of a sudden are relatable. You're human, and as someone is able to relate and trust you a lot more when you're sharing your story, because you're being vulnerable as well. You're sharing like personal aspects of your life. So you're instantly ticking that know, like, and trust factor, which that is so important when it comes to closing sales and getting people to join your opportunity. People have got to be able to know, like, and trust you. So you come across as a human when you share your story and your epiphany. You come across as salesy and spammy when you're talking about all the other stuff. And another thing that happens is they might see aspects of their own problems and pains, because that's really what it is. My problem and pain was frustration, and the problem and pain was not enough money at the end of the month to do the things that we really wanted to do. So when you talk about this, when you share your story and your epiphany, people will be able to relate and see their own frustrations, problems, and pains in what you're sharing. Okay, so, and then the fact that you went ahead and made the leap and you did it will also instill confidence in them, in terms of, okay, well, if that's how they were feeling and now they've made the jump and this is happening, perhaps I can do the same. So it really is one of the most easiest, simple, but it's probably the most effective thing that you can do to recruit people onto your team, is stop talking about all the features of the company and this, that, and the other, and just start sharing your story. Start sharing that epiphany as to why you joined, because that was what was in it for you, and your prospects are listening as for what's in it for them. They won't join because it's open in 16 countries, but they'll join if they think that this is going to give them a plan B, which is also why the network marketing industry, direct selling industry blew up in 2020 during the COVID pandemic, because so many people were then in that situation of, okay, I now need to look at something else. Yeah. So if you join during that time, tell your story, because there will be so many other people that are now still in that situation where perhaps they've gone back to work, you know, the furloughs ended or whatever it was that they went through, and they're now back in work, but they had that experience of what it felt like when they thought that all of that was going to be taken away, and perhaps they had bills to pay, they had a family to support. Then possibly a lot more open to taking a look at what you're doing than what they ever were before. So there's so many people that are still in that situation of they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to feel like, hey, if something ever goes wrong with this position again, I want something else to fall back on. So if you are able to share your story, people will be able to recognize themselves in that. And these are the reasons why people join, folks. This is why people join. They join because what's in it for them, not because of ground floor opportunities. So if you enjoyed this video and you got value out of this video, first of all, just make sure you hit the thumbs up button and let me know what was like your biggest takeaway in the comments below. And if you would love more free training from me, this is what I do. I teach network marketers and direct sellers and business owners how to successfully grow their business online, how to get really good at marketing on social media, but also the sales side of it as well. So once you've actually got a prospect interested, what do you do to close the sale? What do you do to get them to join your team? What do you do to get them to become a client? And I have a free training for you that is going to show you how to start attracting more people to you online. So you don't have to chase, you can actually get them to come to you. And I've put the link to that free training in the description below this video. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, it's free. It's a 60-minute masterclass from me where I'm going to show you how to start attracting people to you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you watch this video next, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.